Hi, welcome back, everybody. And I'd like to bring up to the stage our next speaker, Stephen Kennedy, Director of Solutions at Egain. And we just heard from Carsten the foundational importance of understanding the data that we do hold, and conversations that can be analyzed, that inform and yield the insights. And a lot of this relates to the theme of this particular talk, which is knowledge management. So we're getting really into the heart of things here. So Stephen's going to talk to us about knowledge management, the missing ingredient in digital transformation of customer experience. Stephen, over to you.
Andy, thanks very much. And it's a pleasure to be with you again. Guys, thanks very much for taking part in the conversation we're going to have today. We are primarily going to be focusing on what that missing ingredient is that we tend to forget about whenever we are working with customers and agents. As Andy introduced, it's going to be all around the whole concept of knowledge management, but I'm going to look at it in three parts, basically. We're going to look at the new urgency that's coming out in any customer engagements. We're going to look at how you can take and move chaos to harmony. And then we're going to tell you how we can actually do it. So if I just go through this very, very quickly, talk about some of the aspects that we're starting to see right now. So because of COVID, that digital transformation had to happen. We had to get it done. We had to get it quickly. It's in place. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's bad. We have to now take this and move it forward. But most importantly, one of the things we're finding is that people are still struggling to find answers. And I think this is one thing that is paramount in what's happening moving forward. And just like your previous speaker was talking about, is that whole concept of making sure information is available to everybody and how to do it. So Forrester did a survey a little while ago talking about the fact that customer pain is still mostly about not finding a correct answer or a consistent answer. How do I get that information? How do I make sure it's accurate? How do I understand that it's accurate? And that goes across everything, whether it's being self-served, whether it is being assisted service in an organization, or whether it is using a virtual assistant somewhere. That whole concept of the biggest pain a customer will face in anything that they do is getting the right answer. So then that raises the question, did we forget that key ingredient? And if you look at the challenges that we face today, channel proliferation, we've got more and more channels available for customers to talk to. We've got more and more information coming along those lines. Our communication avenues are exploding. Right? The result is we're creating more and more technology silos, which are disconnected, which means that when we bring agents and staff into our organization, it's going to become more and more complex, especially if you look at the fact that pre-COVID, we had 10,000 agents inside a call center. Now we've got 10,000 call centers serving customers. So it becomes a lot more focused on how do we make sure that it is a sustainable working model that we can cope with. And then something that's starting to creep in more and more is that whole idea that employee attrition is going to grow very, very quickly as we start to navigate this call center where you've got some people working at home, some people working in the office, and how you actually blend that together. So one has to be careful with the movement of staff around as they get presented with those opportunities. One of the things that Egain believe is that knowledge is your missing ingredient. It is something that is vitally important. But not only do we believe that, but Gartner is starting to get that type of response and information from the customers that they talk to in some of the surveys that they're doing. Because we've got those 10,000 offices now, we don't have that one location. We need to be able to create content very, very quickly. We need to make sure it's easily retrievable and it's easily accessible. It's that whole idea of making sure that when you need it, it's there and it's right first time. Gartner believe that there are 7 basic things that you actually need for this to work very, very well. And it's a cyclic approach to it. So you need to think outside in when you're designing something. You need to consolidate your knowledge bases. And I'm sure you all agree with me right now. If you look at your organization, you've got knowledge scattered in different locations. Now, that knowledge doesn't have to be just in a central location. It could be business intelligence that you have on a customer somewhere. But you've got to look at making sure that what customers are looking for are through search engine optimization capabilities. They're easily found. You sometimes need to provide different types of knowledge depending on what you're looking for, like guided experiences or an approved process of getting through something, whether that's agent assisted or whether it is customer self-serving themselves through a VA or on the website. It really doesn't matter. You've got to look at intelligent site and app search as well. The fact that I want to go somewhere, do a search, and I want to search everything. I don't want to have to choose where I want to search, especially where it comes to the point of an agent. They don't need to know where the knowledge is. Give them an ability to search across everything. And we'll talk about that in a couple of seconds as well. And as we see the growth of more and more virtual customer assistants, you need to be able to make sure that they tap into that knowledge as well. It's useless building their own knowledge stack because it adds overhead. How do you bring that up to speed all the time? How do you keep it updated? But if they use that consolidated knowledge base, you're going to find it so much better. And then you've also got the most important thing is content contextualization, making sure that it's the right information at the right time for the right reason. Okay. And these are the 7 things that are going to become more and more relevant when we're looking at that rapid create and retrieve of content. Now, to get this done, you need something called a knowledge hub, or you need a knowledge management tool that is enabling this whole stack. So if we just go and have a look at it a little bit more, it's taking that chaos and making it a harmonic system that you can actually get stuff out of. And if you think about it, we've always believed that knowledge is hard, it's messy, and it doesn't always deliver ROI because you're continually making sure that it's up to date, it's difficult to maintain and all of that. Well, let's turn this on its head. By using a knowledge hub and done correctly, it is easy. We can take that chaos and we can make it easy for people. We can make it enjoyable. So managing, monitoring, and changing stuff doesn't become complex anymore. Okay. And it can deliver an amazing return on investment. And you're going to see as we talk through this in the next couple of minutes, how you can actually get that and how you can actually take advantage of it. To give an example, here in the UK, we have a global telco who right in the beginning developed that concept of knowledge first approach to every single customer engagement. Now you might sit back and think that, but that might not be necessarily for us. If you think about it, if you ensure that everybody uses knowledge in your organization to talk to a customer at any point in time, you are going to get that consistent response. You're going to stop customers calling back in and getting a different response, or going to the website and getting something completely different. Why? Because it's all coming from one location and everything is consistent. They had 17,000 contact agents in a single location. Now they've got 17,000 contact center locations, and that's huge. And you think about the complexity that that actually brings. By using this concept of knowledge first, they were able to hit a 35% first contact resolution improvement. Okay, big numbers, not small numbers anymore. Their NPS jumped by 25 points, attributed just to knowledge. But look at that 50% reduction in competency. Okay, and here I think are the silent, the quiet things that you don't really realize. How long does it take an agent to become competent, to be able to take what you've taught them and actually deliver things very, very quickly? The whole goal with this particular organization was that they were going to be able to save the millions of dollars in annual savings yearly, and it goes and it keeps on growing as they use the system. So what is the Knowledge Hub way? It is a single harmonized platform for managing your knowledge. Okay, and that's key. Connect and collect it once, build it once, use write, collaborate, and approval processes that you only have to do once. One piece of knowledge can serve multiple different locations simultaneously. Automate and add your intelligence in a single location once. You'll see me say this once every single time, all right? Because that's what the hub brings you, that ability to build things in one location, Build things once and reuse everywhere. So you're going to manage your compliance once in one location. Build it up, maintain it. Then naturally you can profile and publish everywhere. It doesn't matter how people contact you, what avenue they use to get access. All right. The whole idea is profile and publish it once. Track, because you're in one location, you're going to be able to track your usage continuously. Again, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter who, you're going to be able to track that usage. And then because of tracking that usage, because of understanding more about your knowledge, you're then going to be able to refine it continuously. It's going to become easy to refine it. You're only refining it once in a single location, and it is being presented everywhere. Now, if you think back to the chaos that we had was based around the fact that we had so many different versions of a particular piece of knowledge. You don't have to worry about that anymore. With the hub, it's one version of the knowledge. It's one version of the truth that's available to everything. So a knowledge hub does hold a lot more than just content. It's omni-channel content. It's AI-driven conversations. There are interactive process flows, and you've got the 360-degree context that you've got access. It's got profiled access, which gives you personalized widgets and portals. And then you've got the insights, which are powered by machine language or machine learning. That whole constant way of refreshing it, understanding what people are looking for and how. To give you three very, very quick examples, a healthcare with 125,000 users. They have 25,000 articles. They have 4,000 topics or areas of knowledge, easily maintained, easily looked after. Okay. Another service provider, 250,000 articles. That's a huge number. They access that through at least 300 portals, yet they've only got 200 authors. Very simple to manage, very simple to change, very easy to look after. In the high-tech space, 45,000 articles, 25,000 portals, and 15,000 personalized articles. Now imagine if you could deliver that for your customers today. Give them personalized articles that are appropriate to what they're looking for when they need it. So let's look at this knowledge hub in a little bit more detail. Okay. Remember, I said to you right in the beginning that Gartner needs to have 7 musts within any knowledge organization. We'll go through these in a little bit more detail in a couple of seconds. So the first one is that whole concept of outside in. All right. Now, with the hub that we have available, we spend the time thinking about how you can innovate and use that environment very, very quickly. We also offer you the fact that let's not wait 6 months for you to try something. We can give it to you as an innovation in 30 days. So it's very, very quick to take your ideas, to innovate, and then to produce something. We've had some of our customers say within 2 weeks that they want to roll this out to the whole organization because of that wow factor, that ability to actually get something up and running very, very quickly. And what you need to remember is if you switch that outside thinking, the whole concept is that give your customers what they need as quickly as you can in the easiest fashion. You don't have to boil the ocean before you start delivering on what it is that you're wanting to talk about. Okay, remember we spoke about knowledge-based consolidation, right? Look at different ways. Look at where your content exists today and how you can put an overlay on that to start with. Okay, by using the Knowledge Hub and Knowledge Analytics, you can take content mirroring into account. You can take content crawling into account. You can federate your content and you can migrate. All good things of how you can see that knowledge-based environment in a single managed ways. And then you can put it outside there in multiple portals, personalized for customers, personalized for organizations, and in separate entities if you need to. Very, very exclusive for what somebody is that you're giving to. But the most important thing is you're not having to decide where to go and look anymore. One place presents everything. Just to talk about that a little bit more in a little bit more detail, if you look at your knowledge, there are different levels. There's stuff that you have to migrate immediately. That's your essential content. There is some stuff that you're going to migrate over time, but there is some, and that you have to federate immediately. It's that kind of like cusp between, we don't know if we need this as essential, but it is frequently used content. So let's federate it, but then migrate it over time. And as that time moves along, you slowly start reducing your federation because it's in your knowledge base. Okay. Where you've got that occasionally used content, only ever federate that. Don't bring that into the knowledge base because it's not used that frequently. If it does move into that second area, then migrate it. And the last one down there is something that we forget to do regularly, is the unused, the outdated, or the irrelevant content. Eliminate it over time. We're not saying get rid of it straight from the get-go. What we're saying is, as you're discovering stuff that's not being used, make sure it's not available everywhere. Make sure that it is up to date and no longer in the knowledge base, creating that dust that fills up your results. The third component is all about intelligent search. There's multiple ways of searching for things. People use different access methodologies. People look at searching things in completely different fashions, and you need that adaptable capability. Okay, and the Egain search actually provides that to you. It provides you with multiple layers that you can actually build up to bring that information. With search tuning, with that ability to change things very, very quickly, you're then able to make sure that the relevant information is coming back intelligently at all ways. We mentioned that concept of guided experience. It's all about making sure that everybody uses the same process. If you're going through a diagnostic step or if you're going through a how-to step, everybody needs to use the same thing, okay? And they can be used very, very effectively to gather information and pass that information back into the contact center. The most important thing right in the middle is use the data that you know about your customer as much as you can and as frequently as you can. The more you are using your data about your customer to answer the questions you already know about them, the greater that they will have an excitement about coming back to do business with you because you know who they are. And I know that that's a cliche from a long time ago, know your customer. How it's important more and more now. We've got so much data on our customers, but we don't use them. Using guided experience, you can monitor and ensure that compliance is met every single time. Records, stores, they can all be kept to make sure that it is the same one time and time again, irrespective of who, when, why, or how. And that's what drives that ability to get people up to speed so much quicker. And then let's be honest. I know the answer, or I think I know the answer for something, but I'm not quite sure. There are people within your organization who have long-term been with you for a long time. Give them that ability to actually work things backwards. I think I know what the answer is. Help me sort it out. That's using that hypothesis-based reasoning capability. So remember, all of this is just a different way of getting information as quickly as you can to the customer. And as we see more and more of the virtual customer assistants coming to the fore, you've got this knowledge. Make sure it's got access to the knowledge, all right? Because that will make sure that everything you do is driven by that single source. It means people are not going to have to worry about where they come from, why they're coming from it from a knowledge perspective. That then brings me to contextual content. The fact that because I know how you're talking to me, I know about your device. I therefore know what type of format to deliver it in. Where I know about you, I use macros to pull dynamic data into the environment. I know your name. Hello, Stephen. How are you doing today? That can be delivered both through your virtual assistant as well as directly within the content. It makes it so much better and easier for a customer to visualize what they're doing, especially when you personalize that. But if we know that they've got a bill that's very, very high, you can data dip into that and bring that back into the knowledge. It means that what you're delivering becomes so much more applicable to that particular customer. You've then got the ability to personalize the portal. So you're not only looking at personalizing content, but you're then starting to personalize the portal that they're going to use to access information. Naturally, that brings profiled access capabilities. The fact that when I log in, I've got access to a specific area of what I need. The key thing here is that in a single article, you can have multiple views. You can create that single source place where you can get everything. The final thing is the search engine optimization. Okay, the Knowledge Hub becomes a living, breathing entity for various audiences that you have. But with SEO friendly URLs, you're making sure that it's available wherever they are. They don't have to come to your webpage. Remember that concept of searching when I want to search. It doesn't matter where I search, but give me the answer that I need as quickly as you can. So just very, very quickly about Egain, why we are working so closely with Gartner right now is primarily because of where we've come from. We were founded in 1997. We've got offices in Sunnyvale, EMEA, and APAC. We primarily do customer engagement automation solutions using digital engagements, artificial intelligence, that knowledge management capability and analytics. Continue looking at ways to improve how you have access to things. And how do we do this? Well, it's no longer a minimal viable product. It's that concept of, wow, let's give you something as quickly as we can. Let's give you something now so that you can deliver something. Right at the beginning, when we were talking about that outside in thinking, I mentioned to you that innovation in 30 days. IITD is what we term it as an acronym. And here you can see an example from a leading auto insurance company. All right. They implemented contextual knowledge during an IIT that delivered its value. And I think that brings the wow right to the fore. Plus, you'll be joining some huge companies using our application to actually deliver high-class, high-quality customer service to their customers. And just to remind you about that Egain innovation in 30 days, all right? And it literally does happen in 30 days. So why should we do this? If you think about it, point products create silos. The Egain Hub is going to bring that all together for you and bring some organization out of that chaos, all right? Quite often, if you look at a vendor that does everything all at once, okay, there's a lot of work that you need to do, tie things back together. Whereas you're providing a rich solution on the other side. All right. So from an Egain perspective, we're combining all the essential building blocks into that rich solution for enthusiastic user adoption. Okay. And it makes everything else easy. If you take the pain of searching, the pain of finding information or answers from both your customers and your agents, it's going to make everything so much easier and people will want to do business with you. So I know that was 23 minutes, but let's open the floor to questions if you have any. Andy, if I can bring you back in, please.
Thank you very much, Stephen. That was as expected and, of course, delivered fantastically. Very lucid, very clear, very compelling. So
thank you very
much for that, Stephen. So Ala has, Grumina has put in a question. I don't know whether you can see that there. Let me see if I can bring it on.
Yes, I can. I've just spotted her question now. So she's asked about an FCR improvement plus 35% within a year. Yes, they were able to do that, Ala. And they continue to do that year on year. The whole idea here is that, you know, the reason you can get an FCR improvement is because you're hitting that right answer first time continuously. You're not having a customer come back into you. Now, if you think about it, that FCR is now not only applied to a telephone call, but it can be applied to all your digital channels too, as you bring new channels on. So, Ella, I hope that answers your question for you.
We have a new question coming here from Vishal. What are the main challenges you've seen on adaptability of knowledge management in enterprises?
I think the key there is adaptability. You know, especially where you talk about enterprises, because we tend to find those customers are large, and it takes a long time to make a change. But I think it's all about making sure that what you're bringing is bringing something that's going to assist people as quickly as you can. You know, enterprises typically took a long time to roll out knowledge management. with the whole concept of this. Wow, you're able to innovate so much quicker, deliver something. And I think from the biggest challenge, it's the adoption. People are so used to finding information where it is. They've built in their minds the location. Oh, I want this, I go here. So getting used to that ease of, I can just do a search here and it's going to bring me everything I want, is one of the biggest obstacles that we face. Okay. And so I think that's about it for that one. Well, I could talk for hours on that one, Andy.
Yeah, it's a big topic. Maybe it's something we can explore a little bit more in the panel discussion. Michelle goes on to ask another question. How can someone sign up for that? Is there any cost at all?
I'm glad he brought that question up. So from an IIT perspective, that innovation in the 30 days, there is no cost. It's almost a concept of try before you buy. The idea is that we will look at an organization, we will understand what their drivers are, what their burn points are or pain points are, and then look at delivering something that actually hits that target. Okay, we've seen organizations who've gone live at Christmas time with 30 answers into a knowledge base, yet they were able to deliver so much customer satisfaction just on those 30 pieces of knowledge. So you don't have to boil the ocean, remember. Start small and grow big.
And a question from Ayman Ismail. How do you ensure the updated usage of knowledge management, whether from a knowledge owner perspective or from a knowledge consumer perspective?
Okay, so that's a very, thanks, Ayman. That is a phenomenal question. And the reason why I say that is because there's two pieces that you need to look at there. The first thing is that you need to consider the fact that it is only through measuring how people use your knowledge, how they access your knowledge, will you then be able to make sure that your update is correct. The more you update knowledge, the more usage you're going to get out of your knowledge. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 cyclic situation that you've got going on there. And one of the biggest things is you need to take cognizance of the fact that language changes. What we started out with the beginning of the year to what we get at the end of the year is different. There are people using different terms. So you've got to make sure, using concepts of machine learning, and it's curated or supervised machine learning, that you are starting to address the changes that happen as well. The worst thing you can ever do is let your knowledge stagnate. So you need to look at things like, how are people accessing my knowledge? And one of the biggest mistakes we can make is if you see that customers are accessing more and more via mobile phones, yet you produce a 20-page knowledge article. It's very difficult to read that. So you need to change the way you behave with your knowledge construct. And I think that's key. Listen and observe what is happening and make sure that you're hitting those things.
Yeah. Is it possible to see a demo of the Knowledge Hub?
Clem, yes, it is. It's a wonderful idea. If I could actually be very, very cheeky, I know that I've got some of my team on the call. So if you don't mind them reaching out to you, we can arrange something and we can sit down and have a discussion with you about how you can do it.
Cool. Right. I think we've reached the end of our time. Thank you so much for your questions. It's great that we're getting this level of questions coming from the floor. These are your questions. These are things that you want to find out, and these are the experts. So it's great that you're using this opportunity to do that. But as Stephen said, there are himself and people from the team here. So if you've got more questions about what Egain does and how it does it and how to get to see what they do, then do take advantage of Stephen and the Egain team's presence here. So thank you very much once again, Stephen.
Andy, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
See you in the panel discussion shortly.
Oh, we will do. I'm looking forward to it. See you soon.
Great. See you
Thanks.
soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.